The military transport aircraft Hawkeye 17 cut through the clouds over the Atlantic. Inside the narrow cabin, the engines hummed with a steady metallic vibration. It was supposed to be a routine flight. Two pilots, six passengers, supplies for a remote military research base. Nothing unusual. At least, that's what everyone believed. At the controls sat Captain Daniel Mercer, a calm pilot with thousands of flight hours. Beside him, co-pilot Lieutenant Sofia Alvarez studied the navigation screen. Behind them in the dim cabin sat the passengers. Dr. Elena Morozova, a field surgeon, carefully tightened the bandage on a wounded soldier's shoulder. Sergeant Mark Rains winced, but tried to stay quiet. Next to him was Professor Lucas Chen, an atmospheric scientist. The cabin lights flickered. The plane shuddered. Not violently, just enough to make the cargo straps creak. Outside the windows, the clouds looked strange. Too smooth. Too symmetrical. Professor Chen leaned toward the window. "Captain, are we flying through a storm cell?" Captain Mercer checked the radar. No storm on the screen. Outside the aircraft, the clouds began forming perfect geometric lines, triangles, sharp angles, shapes no natural storm should create. Suddenly, the navigation display flickered. Numbers scrambled. Coordinates changed rapidly. "Mercer," Alvarez whispered, "you need to see this." The compass spun wildly, then stopped, then spun again. Owen grabbed the radio microphone. "Control, this is Hawkeye 17. Do you copy?" Only static answered. Then something strange mixed with the static. A faint rhythmic tone. Low. Almost like a heartbeat made of electricity. Dr. Morozova looked through the window. At first, she thought it was lightning. But the light wasn't flashing. It was moving. Outside the aircraft, enormous shimmering shapes appeared within the clouds. Transparent geometric structures, like floating crystals in the sky. They rotated slowly, casting pale light across the wings. Sergeant Rains whispered hoarsely, "What the hell are those?" No one answered, because no one had ever seen anything like it. Then suddenly the clouds vanished. Outside the windows there was no sky, no stars, only an endless darkness. The engines strained. The aircraft trembled violently. "Hold her steady!" Mercer shouted. The cabin lights went out. For a moment the aircraft was illuminated only by the strange glowing shapes outside. Then, everything stopped. The turbulence vanished. The engines ran smoothly again. But something had changed. Alvarez slowly raised her head. "Captain," her voice trembled, "you need to look outside." The darkness was gone. In its place stretched a sky no human pilot had ever seen. Two suns burned above the horizon, one copper red, the other pale violet. Below the aircraft spread a vast alien landscape, forests glowing faintly blue, rivers reflecting strange colors, mountains like black glass. Captain Mercer whispered the only words that came to mind. "This isn't Earth." Panic spread through the cabin. Passengers shouted questions. The wounded soldier tried to stand. Dr. Morozova forced him back into his seat. "Sit down. You'll tear the wound open." Owen tried the radio again. Nothing. No signal. No static. Only silence. Mercer took a slow breath, and then his voice returned to command. "Listen carefully, everyone. We're going to find a place to land. We stay together. We survive." The aircraft began descending. Far below, something moved in the glowing forests. Enormous shapes shifting slowly. Creatures. Watching the plane. Waiting. The landing lights illuminated an open plain. The wheels touched the ground. Strange silver dust rose into the air. The aircraft rolled to a stop. And humanity took its first step onto another world. They thought the flight had crossed an ocean, but in reality, it had crossed a universe. The engines slowly fall silent. For a moment, no one moves. The strange landscape stretches around the aircraft. Purple and pink fields of alien flowers sway gently in the wind. Thin glowing blue lines run through the plants like veins of light. Two suns hang low above the horizon. Their light paints the sky in copper and violet. Captain Mercer finally speaks. "Everyone stay calm. We move carefully." The aircraft door opens with a heavy metallic sound. Cold, unfamiliar air flows into the cabin. Dr. Elena Morozova steps out first, helping Sergeant Mark Rains stand. The soldier grimaces but refuses to show weakness. Lieutenant Sofia Alvarez scans the horizon. Professor Lucas Chen slowly steps onto the strange ground. He kneels and touches one of the flowers. The petals glow softly under his hand. "Incredible," he whispers. "This ecosystem is completely unknown." But the beauty of the world hides something else. The wind moves through the distant forest, and the forest moves back. A low sound rolls across the plains. Not thunder, something deeper, something alive. Sergeant Rains slowly turns toward the dark trees. "You hear that?" Everyone stops. The alien flowers sway again, but now the movement feels different, as if the land itself is breathing. Far at the edge of the forest, something enormous shifts, a shadow, much larger than the aircraft. Dr. Morozova lowers her voice. "Captain, we're not alone here." Professor Chen stares into the darkness. His voice trembles between fear and fascination. "Those shadows, they're moving." The ground vibrates slightly. Heavy steps echo through the forest. Whatever is there, it has already seen them. And now, it is coming closer. Night slowly falls over the alien world, and the first explorers from Earth realize something terrifying. They did not arrive on an empty planet. They arrived in someone else's world. Night settles over the alien world. The two suns slowly disappear beyond the horizon. Darkness spreads across the endless fields of purple and pink flowers. The strange blue lines between the plants glow softly in the fading light. Captain Mercer organizes a small camp beside the aircraft. "No one wanders far," he says quietly. Lieutenant Alvarez checks the surroundings with a flashlight. Sergeant Rains sits near the landing gear, his injured shoulder wrapped tightly. Dr. Morozova finishes securing the bandage. Professor Lucas Chen watches the distant forest. The wind carries unfamiliar sounds, soft rustling, low, distant echoes, nothing that exists on Earth. Hours pass. The alien sky fills with unfamiliar stars. Then Sergeant Rains suddenly raises his head. "Did you hear that?" Everyone goes silent. At the edge of the forest, something moves, slow, heavy. A shadow passes between the trees. Too large to be a human, too quiet to be an animal they know. Professor Chen whispers, "Something is observing us." Mercer grips a flashlight and steps forward. The beam cuts across the dark field. For a moment, nothing is there. Then the flowers begin to bend. Something enormous is moving through them. Dr. Morozova lowers her voice. "It's circling the camp." The shadow stops just beyond the reach of the light. Only its outline can be seen. Tall, long-limbed, its body partially hidden by the glowing plants. Two faint lights appear in the darkness. Eyes, watching, not attacking, not retreating, simply studying the strange visitors from another world. Sergeant Rains grips his weapon, but Mercer quietly raises a hand. "Wait." The creature tilts its head slightly, as if curious. Then slowly, it turns. The enormous shadow disappears back into the forest. The flowers stop moving. Silence returns. But everyone in the camp understands one thing. The creature now knows they are here, and somewhere in the dark alien forest, it is still watching. The first light of the alien sunrise spreads slowly across the plain. A pale violet glow replaces the darkness of night. The strange flowers around the aircraft begin to open. Purple and pink petals unfold toward the rising suns. Thin blue lines running through the plants glow softly like living veins. For a moment, the world looks peaceful. Captain Mercer is the first to step outside. He scans the horizon. Everything seems quiet, too quiet. Lieutenant Alvarez follows him down the ramp. Sergeant Rains carefully climbs out behind them, his injured shoulder stiff but manageable. Dr. Morozova checks the wound again. Professor Lucas Chen kneels near the strange plants, fascinated by their structure. Then Mercer suddenly stops. Everyone, look at this. The ground beside the aircraft is crushed, flowers bent flat, the soil pressed deep into the earth. Massive tracks circle the plane. Each footprint is nearly 2 meters wide. The impressions sink deep into the strange soil. Something enormous walked here during the night. Sergeant Rains stares at the tracks. That thing was right next to us. Professor Chen slowly walks along the line of footprints. They form a wide circle around the aircraft. The creature had been studying them, observing, watching. But the tracks do not lead back to the forest. Instead, they continue across the open plain, toward the distant hills. Chen squints toward the horizon. There's something else out there. At first, it looks like a dark shape in the distance, but as the morning light grows stronger, the structure becomes clearer. It is enormous, a towering formation rising from the alien landscape. Sharp geometric angles cut into the sky, not rock, not natural. The surface reflects the violet light of the rising suns, perfectly smooth, perfectly symmetrical. Mercer speaks quietly. That's not a mountain. Professor Chen's voice becomes almost a whisper. No, that's a structure. The giant tracks lead directly toward it, and suddenly everyone understands. The creature that watched them during the night did not come from the forest. It came from there, from the alien structure standing on the horizon, and whatever built it may still be inside. The alien structure stands silent in the pale morning light. Up close, it is even larger than they imagined. Towering walls rise high above the plain, smooth, black, perfectly symmetrical. No cracks, no windows, no signs of erosion. Captain Mercer studies the surface. This isn't stone. Professor Lucas Chen slowly runs his hand across the wall. The material feels cold and perfectly polished. Not metal either, he whispers. It's something we don't recognize. The massive entrance stands open, a dark triangular doorway cut into the wall. Sergeant Rains steps forward carefully. Whatever made those tracks came through here. Mercer nods. Stay alert. The group moves inside. Their footsteps echo through the vast interior. The chamber is enormous. Tall pillars stretch upward into darkness. Strange geometric patterns glow faintly along the walls. Thin lines of pale blue light move slowly across the floor, as if energy is still flowing through the structure. Professor Chen's voice trembles with awe. This place, it's still active. Dr. Morozova looks around uneasily. It feels like something is watching us. Sergeant Rains suddenly stops. Captain, over here. He shines his light across the floor. More tracks. The same giant footprints they saw outside. But now they are deeper, clearer. Whatever creature made them walks through this structure regularly. Mercer raises his flashlight toward the far end of the chamber. Something stands in the center, a massive triangular column, 3 glowing surfaces forming a perfect shape, the same shape they saw in the sky, the same shape as the portal. Professor Chen whispers slowly. This isn't just a structure. It's part of the gate. The blue lines on the floor suddenly brighten. The air vibrates with a deep, low hum. Something in the chamber is waking up. Sergeant Rains grips his weapon. Captain, I don't think we're alone. From the darkness behind the pillars, Something begins to move. The deep chamber trembles with a low humming sound. Blue lines of light move slowly across the floor. Captain Mercer raises his flashlight toward the towering pillars. The beam cuts through the darkness. For a moment, nothing moves. Then Sergeant Rains hears it, a scraping sound, metal against stone. "Captain," he whispers, "we're not alone." Something darts between the pillars. Fast. Too fast to see clearly. Professor Chen turns slowly. Movement. Near the wall. Suddenly a shape leaps into the light. A creature no one has ever seen before. Thin, long-limbed. Its body covered with dark armored plates. Four glowing eyes stare at the explorers. Its mouth opens, revealing rows of narrow, sharp teeth. Dr. Morozova steps back. "What is that thing?" Before anyone can answer, another shadow drops from above, then another. Three of the creatures now circle the group. Low clicking sounds echo through the chamber. Sergeant Rains raises his weapon. "Back up slowly." The creatures move closer. Their bodies twitch with unnatural speed. One of them lunges forward. Rains fires. The echo of the shot explodes through the chamber. The creature recoils but does not fall. The others rush forward. Mercer shouts, "Move! Toward the column!" The team runs across the glowing floor lines. The predators chase them, moving like living shadows. Then suddenly, the ground vibrates. A deep, thunderous step echoes through the structure. Everything freezes. From the far end of the chamber, a massive silhouette emerges. The giant creature from the forest. Tall, long-limbed. Its enormous body moves slowly between the pillars. The predators instantly retreat. They scatter into the darkness. The chamber becomes silent again. The giant creature stops a short distance from the humans. Its glowing eyes study them calmly. Sergeant Rains keeps his weapon raised, but Captain Mercer lowers his hand. "Wait," he says quietly. The creature tilts its head, curious, observing, not attacking. Professor Chen whispers in awe, "I think it just saved us." The chamber slowly grows quiet again. The predator creatures vanish into the darkness between the pillars. Only the low hum of the glowing floor remains. The giant creature stands motionless. Its tall silhouette towers above the explorers. Captain Mercer keeps his eyes fixed on it. Sergeant Rains still holds his weapon, but does not fire. The creature does something unexpected. It lowers its head slightly, almost like a gesture of recognition. Professor Lucas Chen steps forward carefully. "Wait," he whispers. "I don't think it wants to harm us." The creature slowly turns its body. Then it begins walking deeper into the structure. Heavy steps echo through the vast chamber. After several steps, it stops and looks back. Captain Mercer understands immediately. "It wants us to follow." The group hesitates. Dr. Morozova glances at the dark corridors ahead. "This could be a trap," but Professor Chen shakes his head. "No, it saved us." Mercer nods. "Stay close." They follow the giant figure between the towering pillars. The glowing lines on the floor grow brighter as they move deeper inside. The humming sound becomes stronger. Soon the chamber opens into another vast hall. In the center stands a circular platform. Above it floats a rotating triangle of pale blue energy, the same shape as the portal in the sky, the same shape as the gateway beneath the ocean. Professor Chen stares at it in disbelief. This structure, it's not just a building. It's a control system. The giant creature slowly raises one long arm, pointing toward the glowing triangle. The air vibrates with deep energy. The platform begins to awaken. Captain Mercer whispers quietly, "This thing can open the gate." Professor Chen nods slowly. "Yes, but not just one gate." He looks around the enormous chamber. Dozens of triangular patterns glow faintly in the walls. Gateways, Many of them. The physicist's voice becomes almost a whisper. This place connects worlds. The giant creature watches them silently, as if waiting for something, as if waiting for them to understand. But suddenly, a distant scream echoes from the entrance hall. One of the predator creatures has returned, and this time, it is not alone. The great chamber vibrates softly with a deep humming sound. The glowing lines on the floor begin to pulse brighter. Professor Lucas Chen watches the triangular energy structure in the center of the hall. It's reacting to something, he whispers. Captain Mercer scans the chamber. Or to someone. The giant guardian stands beside the platform, motionless, watching. Suddenly, the blue light intensifies. The floating triangle begins to rotate faster. Thin beams of light connect the platform to the towering walls. The entire structure comes alive. Sergeant Raines grips his weapon. What did we just turn on? Professor Chen steps closer to the glowing platform. This isn't just a portal. It's a projector. The energy inside the triangle suddenly expands. Light spreads across the air in front of them. A holographic image forms above the platform. At first, the picture flickers, distorted shapes, broken signals. Then the image stabilizes. Everyone freezes. The projection shows people, humans, wearing flight suits and equipment that looks decades old. A small group stands beside a crashed aircraft. Their uniforms are different, older. One of the explorers in the image speaks into a damaged radio. The sound is distorted, but the words become clear. If anyone receives this transmission, we are alive. Captain Mercer slowly steps closer to the projection. How long ago was this? Professor Chen studies the equipment visible in the image. His face turns pale. That aircraft, it's from the 1950s. The message continues. We passed through a storm over the Bermuda Triangle. The sky opened. We don't know where we are. Behind the explorers in the projection, the same alien landscape stretches across the horizon. The same purple fields, the same distant mountains. The recording suddenly distorts. A loud noise echoes through the signal. The explorers in the image turn towards something approaching from the forest. One of them shouts. Then the transmission cuts to static. The chamber falls silent. Dr. Morozova whispers softly. They were here before us. Professor Chen slowly looks around the massive structure. The glowing symbols on the walls begin to pulse again. This place isn't just connecting worlds. It's recording every crossing. Captain Mercer looks toward the guardian creature, which means this world has been receiving visitors from Earth for a very long time. The guardian remains silent, watching, as if it already knows the truth. The chamber grows quiet again. Only the low hum of the structure fills the air. The glowing triangle slowly rotates above the platform. The holographic image flickers once more. Captain Mercer watches the projection carefully. Play it again, he says quietly. Professor Lucas Chen studies the glowing symbols on the floor. I'm not controlling it, he replies. The structure is doing this on its own. The image changes. The explorers from the projection move again. But this time, the scene is different. The crashed aircraft is still there, but the sky above it is darker. The strange purple plants have grown taller around the wreckage. Sergeant Raines steps closer. Wait, that's not the same moment. Dr. Morozova leans forward. You're right. The vegetation has changed. Professor Chen's voice becomes tense. That means this is not a recording. The image zooms slightly closer. One of the explorers in the projection moves toward the camera. His face becomes clear. A tired man in an old flight suit, his beard long and untrimmed, his eyes filled with exhaustion. He speaks again into the broken radio. If anyone receives this message, Please answer. His voice trembles. We've been here for years. Captain Mercer freezes. Years. The man continues speaking. We tried to find the portal again, but the structure only opens when it chooses. Behind the man, something moves in the alien forest. Large shadows pass between the glowing plants. The explorer turns nervously. They're still out there. We can hear them every night. The signal crackles. The man looks directly toward the projection device, as if he can see someone watching. Then he whispers something that makes the entire room fall silent. You're not the first rescue team. You're the third. The image suddenly collapses into static. The chamber becomes dark again. No one speaks. Finally, Sergeant Rains breaks the silence. So, there are still people out there. Captain Mercer nods slowly. Yes. And now, we're going to find them. The holographic image fades. The chamber grows quiet again. The glowing triangle rotates slowly above the platform. Captain Mercer studies the dark corridors between the pillars. Everyone stay alert. Sergeant Rains suddenly stiffens. He hears something, a faint scratching sound, high above them. Captain! Rains slowly raises his flashlight. The beam climbs the tall pillar walls. For a moment, nothing. Then something moves. A dark shape clings to the ceiling. The predator creature. Its four glowing eyes stare down at them. Dr. Morosova steps back. It followed us inside. The creature lets out a sharp clicking sound. The echo spreads through the chamber, and suddenly the shadows begin to move. Two more predators emerge between the pillars. Then another. They are hunting. Sergeant Rains lifts his weapon. They're surrounding us. The creatures creep closer. Their long limbs stretch across the glowing floor lines. Their armored bodies shimmer in the blue light. Captain Mercer shouts, "Back toward the platform!" The group moves quickly toward the center of the chamber. One of the predators leaps from a pillar. Rains fires. The shot echoes like thunder. The creature crashes against the floor but rises again. Another predator lunges from the darkness. Lieutenant Alvarez pulls Morosova back just in time. The hunters circle faster now. Low clicking sounds fill the chamber. Suddenly, the giant guardian moves. One heavy step shakes the floor. Then another. The predators freeze instantly. The giant creature raises one long arm. The glowing lines across its body pulse bright blue. A deep vibration rolls through the structure. The predators retreat. One by one, they slip back into the darkness. The chamber falls silent again. Sergeant Rains lowers his weapon slowly. What are those things? Professor Chen studies the fading shadows. They're not just animals. They're guarding something. Captain Mercer glances toward the glowing portal. And whatever it is, they don't want us near it. The chamber's quiet again. The predator creatures have disappeared into the shadows. The glowing triangular portal floats silently above the platform. Captain Mercer studies the structure. Professor, can we activate it again? Professor Lucas Chen shakes his head slowly. I don't think we control it. As if responding to his words, the blue light inside the triangle suddenly brightens. The portal begins to rotate. Energy spreads across the chamber walls. The holographic projection appears again. The image stabilizes. The same crashed aircraft from the 1950s stands in the alien field. But this time the scene is different. The survivors are moving. 3 figures run through the glowing purple plants. Their equipment looks damaged. Their movements desperate. Sergeant Rains leans closer. They're running from something. The camera view shakes violently. Behind the survivors, the force begins to move. Tall plants bend and break. Something enormous is forcing its way through the vegetation. One of the survivors turns toward the radio device. His voice is filled with panic. It's coming again! The image flickers. In the background, a massive shadow rises above the alien plants. Not one of the predators. Something far larger. The ground trembles in the projection. Heavy steps echo through the strange landscape. The survivors run toward a rocky ridge. One of them falls. The others pull him up. Professor Chen whispers quietly, "This is happening right now." Captain Mercer turns slowly toward the portal. If that signal is live, then those people are still alive. The projection suddenly shakes again. A terrible roar echoes through the hologram. The shadow grows closer, closer. Then the image abruptly cuts to darkness. The portal dims. Silence fills the chamber. Dr. Morozova speaks softly. "We have to find them." Captain Mercer looks toward the guardian creature. And fast, because somewhere on this alien world, another group of humans is running for their lives. The chamber grows quiet again. The portal dims. The holographic image of the survivors disappears. Only the faint blue glow of the structure remains. Captain Mercer looks at the empty air where the projection had been. "They're alive," he says quietly. Sergeant Rains adjusts the strap of his weapon. "And something is hunting them." Professor Lucas Chen studies the glowing lines on the floor. If the portal showed their location, they can't be far. Dr. Morozova looks toward the dark entrance of the structure. "We should return to the aircraft. Gather supplies. If we're going out there, we'll need equipment." Mercer nods. "Agreed." The group walks back through the vast chamber. The giant guardian watches them silently. When they reach the entrance, the bright alien daylight floods inside. The purple fields stretch endlessly toward the distant hills. Sergeant Rains kneels near the ground outside the structure. He studies the soil carefully. Then he points toward a faint trail through the plants. Tracks. Human footprints leading away from the structure. Professor Chen follows the line with his eyes. "They were here recently." Captain Mercer looks across the alien landscape. Somewhere beyond the glowing plains, survivors are running for their lives. He turns back to the team. "We move fast. We find them." The wind moves softly through the strange flowers. Far away, something enormous shifts in the distant forest. The search for the lost expedition has begun, but none of them yet understood what was truly waiting out there, and the alien world is watching.